everybody, and welcome to A Filthy Talk, a Filthy Lots live weekly panel discussion show coming to you live from North Vancouver on the traditional territories of the Squamish Nation. We'd like to recognize the privilege to work, play, and create on these beautiful lands, and we encourage you at home to comment with the traditional territories that you are watching from. Welcome to the show. I am Trevor Gemma. Joining me today, Alain Williams.
Hello.
Hey, and returning as fact checker / chat liaison is Ryan Whyte. Hey, he didn't do the same thing.
No, I didn't this time. He didn't even kick to me, so. Camera never turned on.
That's fair. Okay. Yeah. Yes. So to kick things off very quickly, before we get into the meat of the show, nerd news. Is there anything from nerd news that you want to talk about?
I didn't even mean to do that sound. I think it just came out of me. It's not news anymore because it's already out. But the Batman is out. I watched.
He's out of his cave.
I watched all 3 hours of it. I can say that it is the first
3 hours long.
On the money, like not including credits. And it's the first 3-hour film that I've seen in a long time that I'm dying to watch again.
Really?
Immediately.
Oh,
Yeah.
Whoa, that's high praise.
Yeah.
I have not seen it yet. I don't know how much I care about endless Batmans, so I'm just like, I will watch it. What's up?
I have one Batman-related question.
What's up?
Is Batman dumb in this movie?
No.
Okay.
Is he the world's greatest detective?
He is a burgeoning great detective.
Okay.
He just doesn't solve all of his problems with punches. He actually uses
No,
his brain
okay,
to do
so
some shit.
everything you're asking me is addressed in the film, and I'm afraid that the answer will
Be spoilers? Yeah.
spoil
Okay.
it.
I'm trying to get him to spoil it.
But,
enough,
but
that's enough.
I can say without spoiling anything that anytime Batman doesn't know the answer to a problem, it's because of his privilege or his
I thought you were
perspective.
going to say his casting.
It's because of his beautiful, weird face.
Because he sparkles in the daylight.
The daylight. No, yeah, it's because it's like it'll be someone around him from like the lower class who has experienced something that he hasn't that has an answer.
I agree with Omnismite, Kevin Conroy for the win. I don't think anyone knows that character better.
Also, just
inside
a
and out.
funny
I
internet
agree.
thing I read earlier today was that apparently the film is set in 2001. So, in all likelihood, Bruce and Martha Wayne were taking him to see Shrek.
Oh, weird. Okay, something for nerd news.
Okay.
Did you see the Obi-Wan trailer?
I sure did.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I don't know if anyone, and you know what? If you don't watch trailers or whatever, I'm sorry, but there's Inquisitors in it, and that's intriguing.
Yeah. So it feels like there is this kind of redemption arc for the prequels of the people who saw like the
Potential?
the potential in it, just extrapolating that and really making the thing that they love out of that.
You know what made the
I
prequels
really
better
enjoyed
more
it.
than anything?
What?
How bad the sequels were.
Okay, it's not nerd fight, so we're not going to do that.
It's not. But I think it looks pretty good.
Yeah, it does. It does look like a lot of fun.
I saw a really funny meme that it showed Ewan McGregor and Alec Guinness, and then like it showed the actors and actresses that played Baru and Lars,
Yeah.
future and like originals and now. And it was like what 15 years on Tatooine does to you. 'Cause they're all like, it's like a 30-year age gap between the actors.
That's right.
I got a Sky Daddy request, was that we should introduce our guests now.
Oh,
yes.
okay, screw it. We will. I mean, if Sky Daddy says it, we will do it.
Sky Daddy.
Yeah, we'll just get on into it. Okay, so at Fan Expo, we made some friends, and we are super excited to have on the show special guests Jack and Chad Matchette, right?
Yep.
Yes, from MatchPlay Games, who have created a new superhero Ttrpg.
Yes. And also, thank you for that super introduction. You picked up on the super. That was great. Also, I think it's great if they went to see Shrek. I think.
Right?
How many
Like
years?
a modern day.
I don't know.
Well, but how many years?
Because
they gotta go see the Mask of Zorro. The Mask of Zorro, like, come on.
Hey, that film still slaps.
It sets up.
It does, but
Shrek sets up a really good emotional state, like to have just gone to and then see your parents murdered.
Absolutely.
That's a real good contrast.
I think if you went to see Shrek and then you watch your parents get killed in an alley, you become a different kind of hero. Like if the last song you heard was somebody once, and then like you,
It's true.
Well, canonically as well, he leaves halfway through Zorro, right? So what's the halfway point of Shrek that would scare a young Bruce Wayne to leave the theater?
Oh,
That's a good point.
that's a solid.
Probably the Farquaad cookie scene, right? Like,
Probably the Farquaad.
yeah. He's like, Dad, I don't like this. He's like, all right, kid, let's
It's
get out of
okay.
here.
We'll leave. It's John Lithgow. I get it. Did you guys know that it was Super Mario Day today?
I did not.
No, I did not. But
March
again,
10th.
again with the
because it's
super.
MAR. 10. It looks
very
like
nice.
Mario. So
Very
yeah.
nice.
So they announced today that Super Nintendo Land will be, or Super Nintendo World will be opening at Universal Studios in I can't remember if it was Florida or LA. It's one of them.
I think Universal's in Florida.
Well, there's one in each.
Oh, is there?
Yeah,
Oh,
and
weird.
there's amusement parks in both, and like Florida's bigger. It's a bigger version of everything.
Oh,
like
weird,
LA's got Hogsmeade and Hogwarts Castle, and if you go to Florida, it's also got Diagon Alley and a train ride that connects the
It's
two.
like two separate parks.
Yeah, it's like two whole things. So I can't remember which one it is. We put down LA, but I might have been wrong. But that's opening in 2023 because the original one opened in Japan. And now
Okay,
and
cool.
it had like a Mario Kart like go-kart track.
Oh, super
that kind of
cool.
thing, which I think would be
very
super
cool.
fun.
Yeah.
Do you actually get to like throw things at other people on the track, like physically throw them?
The original, I saw a thing for it back before it opened in Japan that they were going to build a Mario track that had technology in the actual pavement that you could shoot something and you would see a turtle shell on the actual pavement, like on like LED pavement that would go whoop and hit them and like slow their car. And I was like, oh my god, that would be amazing. Did you ever?
Some friends of mine made an actual real life, honest to God, Mario Kart race thing at Burning Man where they had electric trikes and there was like, I can't remember exactly how they did this, but there was this system where like you could throw shells at each other using like some smartphone app or something, and they were all like LED lit and they had this like rainbow raceway track at Burning Man.
Wow.
Are you sure it wasn't just like it was Burning Man, so they were just like hallucinating?
Well,
Throwing sand at each other.
Both are possible.
you start by taking a mushroom,
Exactly.
and then whatever happens, happens.
Exactly.
Yeah, and then I was like 20 feet tall. Dude.
Why not both?
Also, they announced today that Overwatch 2 closed beta is now active, and there will be closed alpha, and there's a beta expected in late April. That's what it is.
I was never big into Overwatch. I'm happy it exists, but I'm too. I won't say I'm too old. It's just I'm not of the ilk that will be good at a game like that.
That's fair. I still haven't played it. I'm just not a big deathmatch guy. Like,
Yeah.
I'm mentioning it mostly because we've also announced that we have an Overwatch tournament coming.
Yeah.
March.
I like to
what are
watch.
the dates?
26th.
26th will be there's 2 weekends. So over 2 weekends, there's a $10,000 prize pool. So Questline Esports, check that out. We also started a new Twitch channel, so shout them out in the chat.
Yep.
And give them a follow because that's where our esports now is. It used to be Mondays on this channel, but it has now moved. And tournament coming very soon. Okay, so enough of that. All right, let's get into why you guys are here.
Cool.
To talk about Legends.
Yes.
Like, this is amazing. I don't even know where to start. Like, I'm so excited about it. I guess the first question is, what made you want to create a superhero TTRPG?
So, be careful how we tread here. Years ago in high school, I played a game called Villains and Vigilantes. So it was a superhero TTRPG. Loved it. And then when I had kids, Jack and I were very into City Heroes, and anything to do with superheroes was great. Taught him how to play V&V. We had a great time with that. And so years ago now, there was a Kickstarter for a superhero TTRPG. And we thought, great, this will be awesome. So backed it, waited a couple of years, got the package that we are, for the level we backed.
I think it took like a year and a half or
Yeah,
2
it
years
was-
to fulfill or
it was
something
a-
like
yeah,
that.
a long
It's
time.
A long time.
Got the box, opened it up, super excited, opened the book, and went,
Oh no.
It just, now, it's probably a great game,
Yeah.
but it just wasn't.
Wasn't your
We actually never really gave it a shot.
never did.
we
We never did.
cracked it open. Like, heavily judge a book by its cover. You're not supposed to, but we did that. We did just that. We were like,
Well-
looking at it, we're like, we could make something like this. And
Yeah.
they're like,
so
"Ooh."
yeah, we could make something. I'm not going to say better than this, but we could make something more accessible than this, or whatever. And then we said, well, why don't we? Let's give it a shot.
Yeah.
And again, it's probably a great game, but it was like reading Greek. Like it just nothing.
Yeah.
It didn't make. Anyways.
Is it, so like a really like mechanical, crunchy system.
Yeah, like very. It seemed, and again, like we only got through the first few pages
Sure.
that got put on the shelf.
Most of our experience at that time, we had done V&V, which had been pretty dated at that point, a little bit of Star Wars, mostly D&D, some powered by the apocalypse stuff like
Yep.
Monster of the Week and stuff. And so looking at it through a lens of like all these different game experiences and stuff, and we were like, and we can't understand like any of it.
wow.
Yeah.
We're like, why not? Why not try? Why not just...
Yeah, and so we originally started writing it for us, just to be something fun and something fun that we could do together. And
Yeah.
and that was about 5 years ago, and it just kind of grew and grew from there. And we had, then we started doing play testing with friends and family, and then we thought, you know what, let's just do it. So
Nice.
We did it.
At what point did the play testing with friends evolve into the podcast that it is?
So we've been doing the podcast for a year and a half.
Yeah, it'll be
wow.
2 years in August or September.
Yeah.
And it's
around
called?
Legends
A superhero story.
Superhero Story.
The podcast is?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
So this is Legends, a superhero
Role-playing game.
Superhero
Yeah.
role-playing game
and
and
it's
the
Legends,
podcast.
a superhero story.
Oh, okay.
Or
Okay.
Legends Ass for short.
And
is
where
Yeah, Legends.
abbreviation.
Yeah, Legends ass.
and
yeah.
where can people find it?
Any
At
any
the
platform.
link in the chat.
Okay.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, iTunes, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah, and so so the podcast, what's been really cool with that is that we've taken that as an opportunity to also, play test and throw things at the wall and see what sticks, and and did a beta test where we looked for play testers and put it out there and got lots of feedback, and things changed along the way, and till we got to this final version.
Yeah, the version that we start playing on the podcast is very, very different than the version that we play currently on the podcast. So, like in our most recent arc that we wrapped up, we had everybody not completely redo their characters, but like redo them with respect them with the updated rules and abilities, enhancements, and all that to make sure everything was funneled into the final product.
Look, I feel that like retconning is like a very common thing in comic books. I don't see why it can't
Yeah.
happen
Yeah.
in a character
Yeah.
sheet too.
Well, the interesting thing is that, you play test with your friends and stuff, and it's, they get up to a certain level, and then because we're developing something, you move on to something else.
Right.
Whereas with the podcast, it's been great. It's been, 18 months of the same characters and really getting into the nitty gritty and the crunchiness of it, and seeing what works and and what doesn't, and we could think we have the greatest idea in the world, and then you play and you go, man, that sucks. So or that just doesn't work. And we had some feedback from the playtesters about that, and we immediately crossed them off and threw that out.
Yeah.
But no, I'm totally kidding. Totally kidding. No, because we have to. Yeah, exactly. No, but you have to look at that kind of stuff, and so we've tried to make it as accessible, to make it as simple as possible or as crunchy as you want it to be. Like
Right.
Is this all new ground for you guys? Have you ever developed anything like this before?
Yes, it is very, very new ground for us. Like, I mean, I think our majority of our experience comes from playing like D&D and those types of RPGs and homebrewing our own rules and stuff like that. So, but actually to make a book from the ground up with our own system and everything, this is completely new territory for us.
How long was that overall process? Like, I mean, you said you'd been podcasting it and like doing that where you're actually playing the game and the podcast for 18 months, but how long before you got to that point?
So overall, the process has been about 5 years.
Yeah.
Wow.
Five and, as Jack likes to say, 5 and a biddy.
5 and a biddy, on and off.
5 and
Yeah.
a biddy.
Like,
And a
I
biddy
think
can be anything from 2 months to 11 months.
it's a biddy. It's,
a
you
biddy.
never know, right?
Oh,
It's
okay.
kind of a catch-all. So, but I mean, when we had the idea to first start it, like we had a first version after about a week. Like we just like sat down and like wrote really quick.
And it
really quick.
sucked.
Yeah, it was really bad. It was so different. Like it was so much
terrible.
more free form, and it really didn't make a lot of sense at all. Like 'cause you might go in with like an idea of how you want your character, and then the GM has a different idea of how different powers work and stuff like that. So it's really been streamlined, and it's still a lot of free form in the way that you can customize and do certain things, but there are rules in place, so it's not just complete like improv on the GM side or anything.
So what would you say are the most unique aspects to Legends as a role-playing game versus other RPGs that are out there?
I think just the narrative base of the system. We like to give people options to play the characters that they want to play. There's no classes or anything like that. It's just these are your powers. We do have 12 archetypes that you can pick from if you want to for character types. But even picking a power, you're not necessarily locked into a certain way that power works. We encourage people to, and we talk a lot about it in the book, to customize it to the way they want to do it.
And speaking of customization, there's a lot. There's 100 powers in the game, and then from there, there's over 650 different abilities and enhancements to further customize your character. So we really want it to be so like if you have two people who choose fire powers, like maybe somebody wants to be like the Human Torch, and maybe somebody wants to be like Pyro. Like those are two people with fire powers who act, and even their powers work in very different ways.
One can create fire, and one can only manipulate.
Exactly, right? So it comes down to the flavor, not only like the flavor you want for your powers, but you can choose different abilities. Like you might be somebody who lights their fists on fire and just is like all karate, and you might be somebody who like fights really far away and just blasts people with fire, but you still have the fire power. So, yeah.
Very
That
cool.
is awesome. I really love that it's because it's not the first time I've heard this particular thing of the germ of a game came from a lack of the type of game you wanted to play being out there, right? Like how many people have made like a D20 D&D style game or fantasy style game because they played D&D and like they enjoyed it but weren't satisfied with one thing or another thing. So like homebrew turns into that tome that you have.
That's a big book.
It ended up being a lot bigger than we thought it would be. Honestly, like we got it in the mail and the box was like this, and we were like, "There's got to be a lot of like wrapping around it or something like that." And we were like, "No, this is actually just like
it's hefty.
it's a big book."
Now, feel free to open that up and show the camera.
Yes.
So we should say this is not the completed book.
Yeah.
There's still layout.
Pre-production.
It's pre-production.
I want to find a pretty page
So this is
to,
early
to
access.
go to.
Ooh, exclusive access.
Yes.
Exclusive.
So there's been notes already given back on the layout, this layout and everything, and we're waiting for it to come back, and then we'll give notes on that one, and then hopefully be done after that. But there's a good page to look at.
I would also love
through it a little
to
bit.
talk about the art.
Yes.
I remember like asking you about it because that was what snapped my head when we met at the con. I was like, and I jumped at it. Like, who are your artists or artists that are?
So we have an amazing artist, Stefan Toshev, actually Vancouver guy.
Oh, nice.
Went to CAP, and again we found him on Arts.
I had followed him on Instagram actually for a couple of years. Like I followed a lot of different artists, and we were like, we really want like a cool superhero comic booky look, and we were like, why not just reach out and see if he's available, if he's interested in a project like this. And we messaged him, and he was like, I've always wanted to do a book or something like that. And we were like, awesome, let's get started. And he's amazing. His output is so quick. Like he does like 8+ pieces a month, and he's super quick turnaround and everything, and yeah.
Well, we do have a couple of pictures. Alex, would you mind throwing one up for us, please? And for the audience at home. And so are these playable characters, or are these characters from a narrative in the game?
So these characters you're seeing right now, this is actually, these are the characters, our main characters on our podcast.
Yeah.
So the incredible looking flying character who is super heroic there. That's the character that I play.
A little biased, if you can tell.
Just a little bit. But yeah, so these are the characters on the podcast. They are included in the book as there's over 150 pre-made characters in the book to flesh out. That's another thing we wanted to do is we wanted to give people the most complete sandbox to play in if that's what they wanted.
Yeah,
Okay.
so the world setting, we've got New Olympus, we've got the history, different businesses, different agencies, different ways on how you can register to be a superhero. And then I think there's like 80 villains and 70 heroes that exist in the universe. Their character sheets, little write-ups on them so that you can just toss them right into a campaign and they're good to go,
that's
ready
awesome.
to play.
That's also a very excellent thing to understand is that you need more villains than heroes if you're playing a hero game because there should always be danger out there.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I mean, a GM could easily toss some of the people that are listed as heroes and as villains as
Right.
well. Like you just change a couple things or just toss them in and they're good to go.
Or even just change the morality of what they're protecting versus like some sort of. Anyway, I'm excited about this game because I can like live out all of I'm a big comic book nerd and like where I'm like, yeah, this would have been cooler if it was this kind of storyline. It's like I just put this in a game.
Yeah.
Very excited. Are you guys? Have you both been big into reading like superhero comic books?
Yes. Yeah. We're huge superhero dorks.
Yeah.
Just, the great and I think I'm probably way older than most people here. The coolest thing for myself is seeing the MCU. Is seeing what they've
Isn't
done.
it amazing?
I could not. In my youth, I could not fathom that something like this would happen.
Yeah, you thought they'd never do it.
And you know, something like the extent of it and the epicness of it. And so that's what we try to do here too, is make a big cinematic world.
To put people in the pants and tights and capes
Exactly.
of the folks who of these archetypes.
Yeah.
Ryan?
We have a redemption of Ask Us Almost Anything.
Oh, nice.
Which is for the Legends boys. Is can the players play as villains?
Yes.
Yes,
Yeah, you could
absolutely.
play any type of really campaign that your GM wants to set up or the players. There's different options in the book. There's even some campaign suggestions on different things. But really, like, we also have campaign setting rules on like how much powers your characters get as well. So something like if you want to play, one of our examples is like a kind of DC universe, like really high, like gods amongst men type of, you have way more power points and way more abilities to choose from versus if you want to play like a nitty gritty street level, like say like
Marvel TV
MCU,
show.
exactly.
Daredevil,
Like Daredevil, you have way less power points to choose from. So maybe you're not getting as powerful powers because it's more nitty gritty. You have less health, you have less stamina, so you're really trying to micromanage it a lot more. Or so you can kind of run the gambit, and then
How do you balance like a character that feels too OP? Like how do you create the kryptonite to Superman kind of thing?
So thank you for that question. We have spent probably days talking about that. And I think what it comes down to, and again, there's rules and optional settings in the book and things, it really comes down to your GM having the tools that they need to do that. Because one of the things we talk about all the time is how do you balance a team of heroes like the Avengers when you've got Thor, but you've also got Hawkeye.
Right.
And you've got, you know what I mean? Or you've got Green Arrow and you've got Superman, or those type of characters. How do you make that interesting? And so you're rewarded or the GM has tools available to them through skill contests and things like that that highlight different things from each of the heroes, or can highlight.
There's a big focus for the GM. So on the player side of things, when you have those campaign settings, you start at an equal amount of power points to customize your character. So if you want to throw everything into like flight and super strength and play a Superman character, or you could throw everything into like C tier, the like lower tier, and get more of those powers and like gadgets and weapons and trained powers like a Batman. But you're on the same level in the campaign setting. And then with the GM, there's a huge focus on spotlighting your different characters' strengths, but also their weaknesses, so they can have room to grow and role play those actions and things like that.
And I guess the next level to that would be to exploit the weakness of one, and then make it that like if you've got a team of 4, say, that one of their strengths will help the weakness of the other. So you've got to learn that dynamic.
Exactly, yeah. And that really ties back into the archetype system with how you role play your different strengths and flaws and things like that to not only help the role play, but also kind of help the GM as well, like construct a better story.
It feels like the answer to the question that comes up in D&D often of like, what do you do if you have a player that wants to play in Aarakocra Monk? Do they get to have flight? Do you allow that kind of thing? Or does it feel too OP? And I've always thought that, like, if you're a game master who can't think of the thing that would hinder or halt them, then I'd say banning it is wrong, but having a mechanic that allows a dynamic story to happen around it is the way to go.
For example, you could play an entirely support-based character and never roll any attacks or anything like that. You could be empowering your allies, giving them buffs and healing them and things like that, and be just as important, if not maybe more important in some cases, than the flying brick and things like that, right? So.
Amazing. Sorry, Ryan.
We get another Ask Us Almost Anything.
Nice.
So it says, all the characters look fairly human. Is there rules for mutants, turtles, or X-Men style? I think they're kind of getting it like, can you play non-humanoid type characters?
Yeah.
Absolutely. We have Chimpanzee is in there.
Yes, Chimpanzee. It is, I might even find the page if I'm quick enough.
So there is rules. There is rules. Good Lord. Here we are. Rules.
Wow. It's live.
That's okay.
Wow.
Here we go. Here's Chimpanzee.
There's a minor
So by day, choir conductor, orchestra conductor. By night, crime-fighting, supersonic monkey.
Yeah.
That's a great monkey.
No,
That's a great
Chimpanzee.
monkey.
Sorry, Chimpanzee the whole time?
Chimpanzee.
Yeah. He's actually the character. Our podcast, all of our music is by a good friend of ours, amazing actor, singer, composer, Sayer Roberts, who's in Toronto. And we asked him to make a character, and he came up with Chimpanzee. So we have in the core rule book. There's different animal powers. There's like land, sea, air. There's options for species powers. So yeah, the sky's the limit. We have
So we generally assume that you're playing a humanoid character, but we even say right at the start, like if you want it to be an android or an alien or a monster or something like that, that's totally fine. And you start with the same rule set, but we have the C tier power, species power, which means that you're quite literally not human, and you get like a little bonus, like say you're from Atlantis or something, you could say that your species power is that you can survive in the ocean depths and you can breathe underwater. Yeah, right. So it's more flavor based than mechanical, than actual like real mechanical advantage. But yeah, you can be whatever species you want. There's no hard and fast rules.
So that I don't leave this to too late in the episode, when can people get their hands on this?
So our Kickstarter is launching April 1st. That's not a joke. It will be April 1st. We've had a lot of people asking. April 1st, we'll run the Kickstarter for a few weeks, and then we'll be printing in May and shipping in June, if everything, fingers crossed, if everything goes well. We really want it to fulfill as quickly as possible.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And so what can people expect to see in the Kickstarter?
So Kickstarter, we try to keep it as basic as possible because this is our first Kickstarter and our first product. So you can get a soft cover, you can get a PDF, soft cover, hardcover, there's a bundle, and then there's a really high level where we'll play a virtual game session with you. We'll send you a little Legends goodie bag with a poster, dice tray, trading cards, things like that. But we tried to keep everything pretty much book-based so that we didn't run into any logistical problems with stretch goals or many add-ons and things like that.
You guys got trading cards, didn't you, at Fan Expo?
Yeah.
I think I only grabbed one. And you said I get bonus points if I grab your character that we saw in that.
Yeah, of course.
So I have that one.
We'll bring some more.
The main thing about the book is we wanted to, and I'm glad somebody asked a question about species or animals or whatever, is that everybody has a favorite type of superhero or supervillain, right?
Yep.
Again, glad that question came out as well. So we wanted to make it as open and customizable. Like if you want to play somebody who's 8 feet tall, has purple skin and is all hair all over their body and whatever, like go for it. Like you're able to do that. If your favorite hero is the Flash, you can create a speedster character. If
Great.
your favorite hero is, Martian Manhunter, you can create that. Like it's whatever you want to do.
To touch on the X-Men and mutant style question as well, there you do also choose as part of your background as you're filling out your archetype and things, you choose your power origin.
Yep.
So whether it comes from science or its inherent powers or it's strictly you've just trained to have these abilities, things like that.
Dylan, everybody. He's just changing some
Dylan.
batteries. We
Hey,
have
Dylan,
a
how's it
dead
going?
battery on a microphone.
Oh, there was one other Ask Almost Anything. How do you spell chimpanzee?
I will.
Is it S-I or S-Y?
It actually might not be a character name, but it should be S-Y. And then like chimpanzee, but S-Y. Like
Yeah, that's
symphony
what I
and chimpanzee.
S-Y-P-A-N-Z-E-E. Yeah,
Yes.
totally.
I actually spotted another Ask Us Almost Anything in the chat.
I already answered
and,
that one.
What?
I already answered that one.
Oh. Well, too bad. I'm going to answer it for the people who
You
aren't
should.
reading Twitch chat on YouTube. So the question was, is a Filthy Lot going to have a one-shot or not with this campaign? We will not be doing it as a one-shot or not, but on March 26th, on the Twitch channel for the Terminal City Tabletop Convention, we will be having Jack in, right? You're coming in? Yeah.
Yep.
You're coming in to DM for 4 players from a Filthy Lot, and we will be playing, I guess, before anyone but you guys, right? Like, has anyone else played this game aside from your podcast?
And playtesters.
Playtesters.
Playtesters?
Okay, yeah.
Which was, and we got to say, it was one of the coolest things. We had somebody come up to us at Fan Expo, and they're like, "Oh, you're Legends! Yeah, this is so cool. We play this. I play this every Tuesday night."
Oh.
And
I was like, I heard that and I was like, did we accidentally name our game Legends? And there's another game Legends out there or something.
we were like, "Oh
And I was
crap!"
like, this game isn't out yet. And he's like, no. We joined your playtest last year and we've been playing every single week since then. And we were like, I love your game. And I was like, I love you, dude. Like,
I didn't even know you could play.
So good.
That's
And what's
amazing.
cool is that version that they were playing. That is bare bones. That was just game mechanics.
Oh.
It had
And
none
they're
of the
still
flavor.
having a blast.
Yeah, it had none of the flavor. None of the environment wasn't in there. The backstory stuff wasn't in there. The companies, the different heroes, the starter adventure. None of that was in there. So yeah, it was pretty much the coolest moment of
I
our
can,
lives.
I can like, I can't guarantee, but I can guarantee that like, once we get our hands on that book and we have it on our shelf here, I will be running
hell
superhero games.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I can't.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I have a question.
Sure.
What's up?
So
I'll allow it.
one thing I often lie in bed thinking about is like,
Wow.
what
Uh-oh.
is,
Wow.
like,
And that's where the
superhero-
podcast took a left turn. Oh my God, you're shushing me? Oh, here we go. Ash, get back. Get out of here.
All right, sorry.
And then she asks the same
You don't
question.
have a microphone.
I'm still Mike, so I'm still asking.
Yeah,
Okay.
I know.
I want to hear
sorry.
the
Go ahead.
Here's the question.
Ask away, Ryan.
What is like, or have you thought of
Get back on
any
camera.
superhero mechanics that we like haven't seen in other shows or games or systems? Because like, I think about like superhero powers as I was like super strong or could fly or could shoot beams or could move things with their minds. But like, are there any other like power mechanics that you guys have thought about in terms of like how powers can work?
So
That question even makes sense.
I'm sorry, Ash,
it
that was
totally makes
amazing.
I loved it.
thinking was outstanding.
That was so good.
It was so good.
So we do have a lot of optional rules in the game as well to make it a little more crunchy. Things like all-out rules. So more so to mimic like really good comic book moments types of things. So going all out, like doing like a huge blast and using more stamina than the normal ability allows. So you use more stamina and then you do more damage. But even if you don't hit, you still got to use that stamina because you're going all out. Right. But one of the other things as well is, so we have the abilities and enhancements that you choose for your powers in the book. But we also have what we like to call signature moves, which is it really encourages you, and you get experience points for this as well, is to come up with your own unique abilities.
Okay.
And so think maybe like the fastball special with Colossus and Wolverine.
nice.
Yeah.
On the podcast, we have a few signature moves that like Atomic does with one of the other characters. They call it the Fox Fling because it's Dust Fox and Atomic, and he throws him into battle, doing like a flip, and he kicks them and everything. And it's a signature move, and they got experience points the first few times they did that because we want to reward that creativity. And like that's not a move that we originally thought of or an ability, but it's not an ability that the super strength person has or just the acrobatics person. It's an ability that they've created together, and now they both add it to their character sheet, and either one of them can use that ability in combat whenever they want. And we assign a stamina point cost to it, and then they can do it together.
At risk of getting a little like crunchy on the show here, how do you? Because it has like a pretty like standard initiative system. How do you allow for combined attacks like that in an initiative order?
So with that one, for instance,
It's
this is
more so rule of cool, kind of like either one of them can activate that ability, and then they both they have to agree to it. But either one of them, when it's on their turn, they can use that ability, and then they both have to use the stamina point cost that is
Do they
agreed upon.
share the, like, is it like reduced stamina?
no. So they both have to do the stamina cost,
Yeah.
but they also both roll damage.
That's cool. That's
And this
So-
is just an example of one that we've created. There's many other ones and solo ones as well. One that my sister Emily, who plays Impact, who is quite a super strong person, she's created the Super Stomp, which if instead of just like a punch, she does a stomp on the ground and it radiates damage away
Nice.
from her using her melee damage score, and then it falls off around her.
So I think the key is and to the question about what kind of new things, there's kind of a finite, with the flight and the super strength and stuff like that. So we have 100 different powers in the book, but we encourage that customability and that thinking outside of the box. And
Exactly.
yeah,
Did you have trouble getting to 100? Like, no? Like, you didn't get to the point where you're like, okay,
I don't
we're
think
at we're at like 89. Should we go for 100? And then you're like, I don't know. It's good.
no,
with
because we
wood.
have stuff like baking, skipping. No, we don't.
We originally, I think we had more than 100, and we were like, 100's a nice round number. We can have 25 A tier, 50 B tier, and 25 C tier. So we ended up paring it down, and even in some of our final playtesting, there were some powers in the game that didn't actually make it into the final cut. We swapped them out, or there was one A tier power that I can think of actually that we were like, you know what, this is an A tier power, but compared to other A tier powers, it doesn't actually feel as powerful. So we ended up just making that one power an ability under the umbrella of, and we further expanded upon it.
So speaking of expanding, have you thought about expansions already? Like, because like you had to have a cutoff point for like
Yes.
this is the core book,
Yes.
and you're already thinking of.
So this is the core book.
Yeah, so this is the core book. We have thought of expansions to it. We have actually powers and abilities is one thing that we've talked about having down the road. There are 150 characters in the book, but we've also have many more ideas for more characters. But we also shortly, once this is published, shortly afterwards, we'll be publishing our first expansion pack, which is the 3 mini adventures set in New Olympus, which is the fictitious world that we have our sandbox in.
So it'll be 3 short adventures.
I didn't mean to interrupt you immediately with that hand.
It was a very powerful hand, dude.
But I forgot to mention at the beginning when the fact
was just
checker has a
gonna
hand
ask,
go up, I could just wait and I'll.
No, it's all good. It's all good.
It's fine.
What is the origin of powers in your in-game universe?
We have multiple origins.
Yeah, so there's science, technology, inherent powers, so genetic powers, magic, and trained. So trained, there's a little bit of, in my opinion as a GM, I feel like it should be more restrictive. Like I don't think somebody could just train themselves to fly, personally. So a lot of the C tier powers might be trained. And you might have powers from different origins. For example, one of the characters, Knight, who's on the Vanguard, he wears the big suit of armor. He's naturally inherently super smart, but then he builds the suit and it gives him many more powers, but they come from a technology origin.
Now, I completely understand not being able to train yourself how to fly, but I've seen a lot of wuxia kung fu films, and that's exactly what happens.
Yeah.
No, I'm just saying.
So I mean, in the C tier powers, you have things like combat training, fight training, like weapons and stuff like that. So if you want to go like all Batman level, all trained things, it's absolutely a viable option.
Is there? I mean, I guess you've already, you did mention that you can come up with your own origins as well. So does it allow for the players to come up with the way that they got their powers?
Yes.
aside from
Absolutely.
Stuff that's in
100%.
Yeah.
100%. And there's, again, you can make it as simple as you want or as crunchy as you want. We give examples of if you're struggling, you're like, I don't know, for an idea of how my character came up with this. We have tables that, that you roll a dice.
randomize.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, one of my favorite first stories to tell as a GM with a new group is either an origin story for how everybody together collectively got their powers, or if it's just exploring one person how they get the powers here and there, and then how the other characters weave their way into the story and things like that. So it can really be flavor based as well. It's just really how you want it to be and how you want it to work.
So you mentioned the characters on the cover, and who are they? Like, what is the cover art? Tell people at home a bit more about what the cover. I mean, Alex, if you want to bring the cover up again, that might take a second. I know you had the other one queued up. Sorry about that. But yeah, who are we looking at in this?
Sure. So this is the Vanguard, which is kind of New Olympus's version of the Justice League or the Avengers. And there's 10 of them total. They don't have a super rotating roster, but they have new people crop up here and there as well. But they generally keep to about 10 people on it. I don't know if you want me to run through a quick each character or anything like that. Or...
Do you have time? I want it.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Yeah, do it. Go for it. I'm curious.
Okay, bottom, front, and center, that's Titan. He's kind of the de facto leader. To the right is Sure Shot. And maybe I'll just go counterclockwise from Titan. So you got Titan, Sure Shot, Disruptor, Powerhouse in the suit of armor there, Tempest, Knight in the big suit, Monarch all the way at the top, Garrison with the cape, Eclipse who's on fire, and Overhaul down in the bottom left.
Very cool.
Some good,
Awesome.
recognizable but different enough names.
Yes.
Yeah.
You can kind of see a little bit of somebody in there, but it's different enough that it doesn't
Yeah.
feel like a direct ripoff or nothing.
Yeah, well,
there was one more Ask Us Almost Anything, which is how inspirational were City of Heroes and DC Universe Online for creating stories and systems?
Did you ever play DC?
never
I never
played
played DC.
I'm a big DC universe.
That's your number one
I
game.
started,
of all time,
but
isn't it,
I
Trevor?
didn't get. I
It's
didn't
not my
stick
number
to
one
it.
game of all time, but it's the game I've played the most of.
So, I mean, hours spent.
Yeah, I've spent over a year and a half that I'm aware of.
That you're aware of.
Do you have the stream hour counter for that
There
game?
used to be a
Or the Steam?
website that tracked every
Okay.
person, and that website went down years ago.
Oh, wow.
And at that point, I was at a year and a half of actual.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, that probably would have been us for City of Heroes because.
Oh, wow.
I half jest, but one of the saddest days for Jack and I was the day we found out that NCSoft sold. They sold. No, sorry.
NCSoft bought it.
NCSoft
Paragon
bought
Studios,
it,
and then they were shutting it
they
down.
shut it
They
down.
just turned it off.
And it was brutal. Jack, he grew up. We would play the game. I remember him sitting on my lap, and his only job was to because you could press the numbers for the powers, right? Yeah.
And that's what I would do. I would press
just to
it.
press the 1, the 2, or the 3 to
Yeah.
activate the powers because he liked how all the colors and stuff like that. And I would move the character around, and for hours we played that game.
Oh, that's
and so huge. There's actually City of Heroes. There's a couple of pieces of art in the book.
That are a little bit inspired by
Are
little
inspired,
Easter eggs here and there.
We,
So.
just because the game meant so much to us.
It takes we do take I think we take a kind of a broad influence from Marvel Comics, DC,
Absolutely.
the MCU, and City of Heroes, but City of Heroes is a huge part of it for sure. Just because that was just to see our heroes come to life in that regard is something that we wanted to see in the game as well. So.
That story messed me up just now. Because I'm not gonna say I had a bad dad. I had a fine dad. But I did not have a dad who was like, let's make a TTRPG now. I was like, ugh.
I feel like most people don't. I'm just gonna go on a limb and say that. I mean, there's not that
My dad made
many
a board
TTRPGs
game.
out there. What?
My dad made a weird, obscure board game. It was about mountain climbing.
I guess that's cool. I mean, quality time is what counts.
I never played it.
Sorry, and I do want to ask as well. You have some experience after being a fan of comics and the films that have come out. You have some experience working on some of the films as well.
Yes, yeah. So in my day job at night, like hobby game designer, in my day job, I'm a production coordinator for a visual effects company. So I've worked on like all sorts of different movies and TV shows and stuff like that.
That's awesome.
Awesome.
Yeah. You're among your people. Okay, so you mentioned this takes place in New Olympus. Is that on Earth?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so it's still Earth.
Yes.
Yes. So it's
and the sandbox is New Olympus, but I mean you can certainly customize it. You can
and
play
you can
anywhere
play,
you want,
yeah.
right?
So our idea
But-
of New Olympus is a kind of a secretive city-state founded almost 100 years ago after the First World War, and it stayed in secret for many, many, many years. And then when it was discovered in the 80s, opened up to everybody, and it's had a huge boom in the last 40 years of population and city growth. And think of it as kind of like it's a bit of a mega city like New York or London, but it is in a modern day world. Well, as modern as you can get with like people who are super smart and things like that.
Geographically, roughly, where is it?
We put it in Point Nemo, which is the furthest geographical spot on Earth that you can get from another like country or city.
Okay,
So out in the middle of the ocean. Our story behind it is that these founders, they raised an island literally from the ocean bed because their powers were so strong, and they founded the town originally just like a small town, and then they would invite other people that they like smart scientists and people to the island, and they grew their community, and then eventually kind of went public in the 80s, and then so many people have moved over and created the big city since then.
And so what's cool is New Olympus in our world, New Olympus has the largest concentration or largest percentage of people with superhuman abilities.
Yeah.
But a relatively small amount of them are superheroes. So a lot of them just have regular day jobs. So you might have somebody who has C-tier strength that works in construction,
Yeah.
or C-tier intelligence, they're a doctor, or whatever, right? So that's the environment that we wanted to place people in, is that it's an everyday occurrence.
That's
Yeah.
Right?
And
as
then the
well as
people
the
who
crazy superheroes.
are superheroes are the rarer exception that they have multiple superpowers or like the A-tier powers. Like C-tier, relatively common
Okay.
by that.
Have either of you seen the anime My Hero Academia?
So neither one of us have seen it, but we've had many playtesters tell us that they're like, hey, this reminds us of like My Hero, and like
sort of similarities, and
and
it's like a world where everybody has a quirk. It's like a power, but like the
Yes.
superheroes, the ones are really good ones or multiple ones that are kind of combined together.
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
interesting because there's like, a world of largely powered people, but still like different sort of classes within that structure. And
for sure.
Yeah.
I think if I remember what people told me, it's like 80% in My Hero have powers,
like
like
that,
80%.
yeah.
And in New Olympus, it's like 20 to 25% of the
okay.
population. So still quite a big amount, like the highest concentration. But just people using their powers for like everyday work and jobs and stuff like that is common.
are the ones that have powers through like genetic means, is that percentage of like the total population growing? Like is the world trending towards being full of more powered people or less powered people?
Well, you have to listen to the podcast for that.
Ooh, plug it. Yeah, let's go.
And we say in the book as well that of the like 20 to 25%, the majority is genetically powered people, and that number is growing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I think one of honestly, personally, my least favorite tropes in like art and media in general is this idea of like the world where the magic is slowly being drained out of it, where like there's something special about this world and the people in it, but that special thing is going away and it's going to end up being like just our regular old boring world eventually. It's like Tolkien. It's like, eventually the world of Tolkien turns into Earth and there's no magic and Ents and Bombadil and it's just boring old Earth. So I like things where like the magic is growing.
It is definitely growing as well. Like we both really like the idea of like having like family-based powers. Like if your parents fly, like
a lineage,
you have, or similar base. Like maybe they have fire powers and you have like light-based control. Like something in a similar vein.
Or we haven't had a psionicist since great grandpa.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, something like that. Or like it skips a generation.
He's just
if
like,
you yeah, you definitely don't want to have like kids who are like super fast, like a super fast toddler or anything like that. But like,
So I know, is this meant to be played with miniatures and stuff? Because I know there's a lot of miniatures out there. We have a ton of them here that are all fantasy or sci-fi. But like, I've never seen a lot of superhero stuff out there.
I've seen some, but it's meant for very specific games, and I haven't seen just like a standard mini that's meant to be like a superhero for something like this.
Right.
What kind of
Well,
solutions are there?
funny you asked that. So we, as another thing coming down the road, in the back of the book, there'll be a little ad for it. We're starting a subscription mini service. And so with all the...
I think you have a subscriber.
they'll be based on the art from Stefan and based on the characters in the book, and have 3D printable tabletop minis that are all superhero based. And we're planning on doing monthly packs with different heroes and villains from the world of New Olympus. And
It's like, could I get camera? I'm done for. You understand? I have no hope. I'm subscribed. I'm subscribed.
All right.
excellent, we got him.
It didn't take much, I told you.
But that's why, I mean, I personally, so back in the day when we played V&V, a couple of my buddies that I played with, they're quite good artists, and they would draw the little counters, little cardboard counters.
Yeah.
But I always, when we played D&D, we would get the minis and all that kind of stuff. I thought, oh, this is so cool. And so then Jack came up with the idea that, you know what? Why don't we do superhero ones? Like this is...
Have you guys built any terrain? Like, have you built
my next question.
Olympus? As
Not yet, but that will be
yet?
part of it after
That's something.
down the road after the
we want to do the minis first.
Yeah, the minis first.
And then start introducing like modular terrain so you can build buildings and roads and things like that, and make it all 3D printable. Yeah, because we noticed that there's a ton of like D&D and fantasy Patreons that do
bunch
minis.
of people with Fan Expo that were like
And-
D&D terrain.
Exactly,
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly.
And there's also a lot of sci-fi. And then I was like, I can find some superhero, but it's just like, this is Iron Man, but legally I can't call him Iron Man. So
Right.
it's just like exactly that type of thing. So we're trying to keep it all like legends based.
Is the aesthetic of New Olympus overall, is it very modern, or is it kind of like
Yes.
Gotham Art Deco-esque? Or?
It's very modern, kind of bright, futuristic,
Right.
and things
I mean,
like that.
theoretically, like somebody had like a Lego skyscraper set, that would actually be some half decent terrain.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
And then when you have a big superhero fight, you can just knock it
Break it down.
everything.
That's actually not a bad idea.
But then it's like a Zack Snyder fight. and-
Yeah. And you drain all the hope out of it.
Exactly.
That's actually an interesting question, is are there any consequences for collateral damage?
I think that would depend on. There's nothing so much in the book about that. I think that really would depend on your GM.
Right.
We do. Interesting enough, where it is in D&D, usually you get in a fight, you fight to the death.
Yeah.
Because it's a superhero world that they live in, all attacks are considered non-lethal unless otherwise stated. So that's the default, as opposed to the default being. So in that sense, consequences and stuff, unless somebody literally says, "I'm trying to kill this person."
So you would have to make the statement in order for your hero to go off the deep end, or to make
Exactly.
that commitment to that
Exactly.
dark
to
path.
cross that
Exactly.
line,
Yes.
like have that like Daredevil.
Yeah.
If you know if you're gonna like, is he
Right.
gonna cross the line or is he not, and,
Yeah.
and stuff like that.
I'm just one bad. What does it say? You're just one bad roll away from being me.
Yeah.
Have you, in any of, sorry, I'm just getting in here with the questions, Trevor. Look at his face.
What happened to the hand?
It's toast.
Your name wasn't even on the fucking call sheet.
I know, right? Hey, blame your woman.
Listen.
She asked me to be here.
No. Here's the thing. I thought I was gonna be the problem today. I was gonna be like, oh, and another thing.
No, not a problem.
No, it's him.
But that's why you're in the seat. The seat has power.
Have you ever done in any of your playtest playthroughs a playthrough where like one character has been totally unpowered?
Yeah.
I can't remember, honestly. We've done so many different
So
places.
many.
Generally speaking, because in the campaign setting you have the PowerPoints,
Right.
you have like that limited number, you could be all trained and don't have any specific superpowers, but you would
I'm just
have
thinking like a totally regular guy. Like you've got like a bunch of superheroes that are also having to do something with a regular. Sorry, Trevor, did you have a question?
We have an Ask Us Almost Anything in the chat from Gene McKinnis
This
asked.
shit is off the rails.
Dude, no. Do you have anything for botched rolls? I would add to that. Do you have anything for a natural 20 and a natural 1?
Well, for the natural one, we encourage mocking.
Yeah.
So no, we don't.
You are
You get
a
a-
really good troll.
That's his other character name.
If you roll too many natural ones, you get banned from the table, unfortunately. It's just...
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh, it runs in the family.
A natural 1 in a skill contest or an attack roll is an outright fail, no matter what. But a critical success, a natural 20, is an outright success, no matter what, on a skill contest. And then on an attack roll, say you have a flame blast and you're doing 1d10 damage. If you roll a critical success, a d20, you get the full 10 plus a roll of a 1d10 on top of that. So you do your full damage plus a regular roll.
That's sweet. We have a homebrew rule in Altero is the world we play in a lot. That's Matt and Roz's world.
Yep.
And their homebrew rule is nat 20s. You double your damage. So you roll all your damage,
Right.
then you just double all of it.
Oh, yeah.
That's rad.
Well, we
Max
did-
damage plus.
Yeah, we
that's
didn't want
crazy.
to, because if you roll, I mean, it doesn't happen that often.
Yeah.
Right? So if you roll a nat 20, and Jack's example all the time is, wow, I rolled a nat 20, and then you roll 2 1s. And it's like,
And I do 2 damage, and I do less than like what I normally would have.
yeah,
just when
so
rolling
we
one.
wanted to reward that. We wanted to, have it be something substantial.
That is a mechanic that is played in a game that I play at home, and I recommend it highly. So I'm happy to see it on the page. Yeah, that's awesome.
You can also, because it is superheroes, it's all stamina based. Your powers cost stamina to use, your movement, everything. You can do all out attacks where you increase the amount of stamina that you're spending to potentially increase the amount of damage that you output. And hit or miss, you still have to pay that stamina, so it's risk reward. But
Okay.
yeah, so you can have those big moments, those big super heroic moments where they just give everything they've got, and they might be exhausted to the point where they can't do anything afterwards. But maybe the big rule of cool is the big payoff is they're able to do something that they normally wouldn't be able to do. So yeah.
How do you handle leveling?
So leveling, we have 5 different types of villains, and each type of villain has a experience point amount tied to them.
Oh.
So similar to how you play in different campaign settings, you have different like villain settings with more power points to choose from, more health, more stamina, and things like that. And then when you're building your encounters, you pick based on all the villains you have and tally up, and you have experience that way. And then once you reach a certain amount, the first few levels you'll level up really, really quickly. And with leveling up, you always get 2 training points, and a training point can be used either to increase skills, it can be used to unlock a new ability, or it can be used
I was going to ask
to-
if there was like a version of multi-classing.
Yes. So what you can do is with a training point, you can increase a skill level, unlock a new ability under your power, or enhance an existing ability. So you can either make those abilities more powerful or just have more variety of things you can do. Or if you bank your training points, you can actually choose new powers. So they cost more training points, so you might not get it on level 1, or but then on level 2 you could unlock like a C tier power with those banked training points. Oh. And as you level up, every 5 levels, you also can start unlocking what we call a mastery, which those are like combat masteries or skill masteries, things like that. And those have special boons and bonuses anywhere from increasing skill caps on certain things, or even being able to attack twice in one turn and having different actions as free actions because you've mastered those actions and types of things like that.
Do you have a max level, like a max achievable?
We go to, in the book, we go up to level 15.
Yeah. Okay.
But we also include, mechanics that if you want to carry on further.
Yeah, the pattern is really, really simply laid out and really easy to follow. So that if you want to take it past, so you start at level 0 because you start just absolutely brand new, and then you've got 15 levels to go through. But the pattern's super easy to follow if you want to go beyond that.
Yep.
That's awesome.
We also, with experience, we also do, what's the word I'm looking for?
Experience on failure?
No. Well,
But we
there's
should
that.
talk about that as well.
We do. If you fail a contest roll,
You do get experience
You
as
get
well because
experience
you
as
should
well.
learn from your failures, in our
Oh,
opinion.
that's awesome.
So
Yeah.
you get a small amount of experience on failures, as well as you get experience for being creative when creating signature moves and things like that.
but no, what I was going to say is like on the podcast, you don't award us leveling up based on our villains. It's more of, what's the word I'm looking for?
Well, we do milestones on the
thank
podcast personally,
Okay.
just because for the narrative of the podcast, it works better that way. And we actually have one of the optional rules that we really like is the Nemesis Rule, so that if you have your arch villain or your nemesis, you might have enough experience to level up, but you don't actually get to level up until you have an encounter with your nemesis and you defeat them in combat.
Oh, that's genius.
And then
oh my God,
you
I
know,
want that so bad.
So that's optional, but it's-
You gotta come play with us, man.
Holler at me. I'll give you my number after this shit. Please take this in the most flattering way possible. But I fucking hate how hype I'm into this. Like I could just see it consuming time. I was pretty sure I was gonna put into my job. Like I thought I was gonna be a productive member of the team, and now I know
No,
that that's
you still can be.
No.
No, you learn this game and we run this game.
Right.
Because we
true,
make
true,
tabletop
true.
content.
Yeah. True.
Yes.
True.
Now,
Yeah,
I'm
fair.
going to harness you in here.
Okay.
You're okay.
All right. Bring me back.
You're
Bring me
okay.
back.
You're okay. So this goes really fast, but we actually are out of time.
Wow, that was quick.
wow.
I know,
Super
right?
quick.
Yeah, it does go very. Did you have something else, real quick?
That was it.
Oh, okay.
Well, his hand isn't up, so it is.
Okay. I mean, those rules are out the window. So, is there anything like last second that you guys want to get in? Anything you want to plug? Anything we missed?
Just watch for you can check out matchplaygames.ca for more information about our Kickstarter coming
Yeah,
up.
you can register interest. Our Kickstarter page isn't up yet. It'll be up in the next couple of weeks. So until that time, if you're interested, you can register interest on our website, and we will email you when the Kickstarter launches. And then you can find us on all social media at the Legends Cast if you want to follow the podcast, or at MatchPlay Games.
Yeah, and if you follow the podcast, we have a great community on our Discord as well. All sorts of superhero nerds and dorks, and we have great chats on there too. So yeah.
So we
Come
talk
on,
about the
join us.
podcast, the game mechanics, all sorts of stuff on the Discord. So.
Yep.
Sweet. Well, thank you guys
chat.
so much for being here.
Oh my God, thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
This
Thank
is-
you.
Oh,
this
yeah.
is great. Yeah.
You will see them again. Well, you'll see all of us together again. Not all of us. You won't be here.
No, I'm trying.
But on the 26th, reminder for the Terminal City Tabletop Convention, we are playing with Jack. Right? Yeah. is with
Yes.
Jack. I have to keep checking. I'm like, oh, I keep forgetting. So tune in for that, and we'll have more details about that to follow. And next week, what do we got going on? We got, again, follow Questline Esports on Twitch, different channel. That's where the esports is now. Tuesday, we've got Strix, episode 3. Wednesday, we'll be back with more LFG, and we'll see you again next Thursday for more Filthy Talk. Until then, stay filthy.